The only thing they have really, I had Sun City, when they first built Sun City in Arizona, I had my aunt and uncle were one of the first ones that moved in there way back, and all they have to talk about is their illnesses. You know, what happened.
Well, it's true. They don't have anything to do.
They don't have anything else to do.
And people get grumpy when they get older. They don't have any patience. They drive their cars like crazy people. I mean, they don't like the light to go through it if there's nobody around. And I've seen very often, you know, people hitting the gas pedal instead of the brake pedal and, you know, going through the side of a building. And there's all kinds of unusual things that happen in those kind of communities. And there's a lot of real selfishness. But I think the most paramount thing among people my age is that they're bitter about life because they know they have to die soon. And they can't accept it. Well, it's very hard for anybody to accept it, but that's the way God made it. If you don't like it, complain to Him. But that's what's going to happen to you. So don't look at it so negatively. I mean, if you've lived to be 75 or 80 or 90, you've had a good life. You know, you should be happy. I mean, there's really... Well, I don't want to go into it any further, but put on a happy face because doing it any other way is just going to make everybody else miserable.
She had a second question about the Social Security, and her husband is also in the military and is almost reaching his retirement 20 year. Do you see a time where they might renege on their contract with our military members?
Same thing as you're faced with in Social Security, as well as in pensions. 50% maybe even more. But one of the good things, and I don't know whether you can call it good or not, is if they do that, we will have deflation. If we have deflation, the loaf of bread that costs $2.50 will be 25 cents. The salary that was $100,000 might be $50,000, and so on and so forth. Because with deflation will come lower wages and lower everything. And I know that's no consolation. Everybody is going to have to live differently like we lived during the 1940s and 50s. It's just a different world. And most of the people have never lived those kind of lives. I mean, since 1960, we're looking at 50 years. And the people who are 50 or younger never experienced any of that. I mean, they've really had a lark in life. They've lived an anointed life, but they didn't know it. But they're about to find out about it because there's nasty lives going on out there that are coming.
The question is, what would you do about the public unions with high pay and pensions that are bankrupting the state?
Say that again.
What would
you do?
What would you do about the public unions with high pay and pensions that are bankrupting the state?
Oh, I would just pass legislation to change that. Just say we can't afford it. We have a choice. We can either go bankrupt and pay you nothing, or you can take a 1/3 cut in your pension and your salary, or a 50% cut, or whatever is needed under the circumstances. And I think they should cut back employee workers by whatever percentage is necessary, not 5, but 20 or 30 or 40%. I know it's not going to help the economy, but do you expect the taxpayer is going to subsidize these people? I don't think so. So, you know, what do? We cut back on everything. If they don't like it, go bankrupt. They get nothing. And, you know, like in California, the state mandates that you can't cut back on state pensions. Well, I get news for you. If the state's bankrupt, what are they going to do? I mean, that part of the law is laughable.
Another question is what do you think would carry more leverage, numismatic gold coins or mining shares?
From time to time, they can equal one another.
Yeah.
And I would say that we'll compare blue chip or quality gold producing companies with mint state graded coins. And I think that the shares would probably outperform the numismatics maybe by 100%. That's been the experience in the past. Actually, it's been higher than that, but I'll be very conservative because at one time it was 350%. Now we're talking numismatic to quality shares. If you go back into the late 1970s, I had shares that went from 35 cents to $55. Now, we can't compare that to numismatic performance because the kind of stocks that did that were enormously speculative. And that's not a fair comparison. But if you compare what I just did, I think that the shares will outperform the coins. But the coins, numismatic, graded, will outperform the bullion coins by 4 or 5 times. That's where really the money is made, and I've been on this program 5 years, and I've been telling everybody the same thing every time I've been on. Now, we went back 5 years and picked out, let's say, American Eagle at $275 an ounce, and we figured out what it's worth today, and then take an MS-64 Saint at the same time and figure it out. I think that you'd find that the gain was 50% higher in the numismatic coin, and I think you'd find, these are guesstimates, and I think that you'd find that as time goes on, that difference would lengthen in favor of the numismatic coin. And I think everybody should have junk silver and bullion coins, but I think the bulk should be in numismatic coins. But you have to do business with someone that's not going to skin you alive, someone that charges a markup of 5 to 10% on numismatic coins, as opposed to some of these dreadful dealers out there that charge from 10 to 50%. Right, Melody?
Absolutely. I wonder who does that.
There's a lot of them.
No, who charges 10% or less. That's
our girl.
You know what, Bobby? I mean, you're certainly the man of the hour and the man of the stock. But you know what? I did a comparison on one of the popular shares, and I based it on what a $20 Liberty and a Mint State 64 would do. And actually, based on what the high was projected for, they actually were equal. They actually went up the same amount of percentage. So
what was the stock?
Huh? Well, I don't want to say it on the air.
Oh, I want you to say it on the air.
Call me after the program.
No, you can't have any secrets on this program.
There's no secrets, but also, don't forget the tax consequences.
No, that's true.
The tax consequences. To me, that's more important than almost anything.
It could be 30%.
Absolutely. So.
We got to get off the air again?
Again?
This is disgusting.
Isn't it? Will you be back Wednesday?
I promise I'll come.
All righty. See you then.